Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be talking about my 5 favourite PE lessons and sports games that you can deliver in special needs settings. Now, coaching and teaching sports within a special needs setting can be incredibly rewarding, but it can also be a little bit daunting if it's something you've not done before. So I want to talk to you about all the different aspects of teaching special needs children sports, what you need to think about, and then run you through my 5 favourite sessions. Now, I always tell my coaches that as a coach or as a teacher, you've always got to have different hats on. So you've got your PE teaching hat, you've got your nursery hat, you might have your special needs hat, you've got like your lunchtime hat, your after school club hat, and so there's so many different hats that you as a coach or as a teacher will wear, and it's understanding which hat you need to put on. So for this one, it's that SEN, the learning difficulty hat that you need to put on. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like a coach who is smiley, is engaging, has got lots of energy, is going to be like so pleased with the children when they achieve something within the session, and it's a coach who also goes that extra mile to learn about the children in the session, to understand what the children need, what the children are likely to be able to achieve, and also it's a coach who's going to be able to experiment with different sessions, and if something's not working, then understand that you need to move on to something else. So one thing I talk to my coaches about is expectations. So if you were expecting a child to be able to dribble a basketball and it's just not working, it's understanding, right, okay, that might not be realistic, right, can we move it into something else? And having that adaptability about your teaching lessons and your sessions so that it works and so that children get the most out of that time. Another really important part of what you're doing is the equipment that you're using. So for me, if I'm doing a special needs session, I will always have 10 dodgeballs, like little red balls like this. You get them for like £5, and they are like a lifesaver because the unpredictability, like you can't always predict what the children are going to do within the session. So if they were to throw a basketball at someone, it could really hurt them. But these dodgeballs are amazing, or you know, the softer balls that you can bounce. So just thinking about the equipment that you're using, I would always have cones, bibs, and then maybe parachutes, or all the different bits and pieces that you'll need for the sessions that I'll run through now. But the equipment is a really important bit, and a lot of the time it will be about having enough equipment. So sometimes if you only have like one ball between two, you know, it's difficult to get that session really flowing the way you want to, because they might not understand that like the idea of the sharing or the passing stuff. So when they have a ball each, or you know, multiple balls between them, it works a lot better. So definitely worth thinking about making sure you've got enough bits of equipment for the group. Brilliant, so that leads me into my first game, which is bowling. Now this game is really good for children who are maybe not as mobile as others, so it might be if they're in wheelchairs or they struggle to walk, but also it's just a nice little one today. And you can do it in a classroom, so depending on the space that you've got. But if you're inside, I wouldn't do this outside in winter because it's staying still, but what you'd have is you'd have like a chair, you'd have like your chairs here, and then I would set up I put a little cone with a ball on top of it here. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, and like I say, these little dodge balls or those little bouncy balls, something that's going to fall off easily, not something that needs a lot of pressure. And I'd have my balls there, and then, so they're sat down on chairs, just there, and what would be really good if you can get like a one-to-one support, or maybe if you go and sit with one of the children. So the way it works is with the children sat down, they then put their legs together, they point their toes where they're hoping for the ball to go, and they basically roll the ball down their body and down their legs into the area here. Now this person might roll their ball down their legs and hits this ball, which then might bounce off and hit that ball. And it's just about like the idea of you know, the rolling movement, keeping their legs together. It's quite a simple thing, but it works really nicely. I actually did it today, and it worked so nicely. So yeah, and then as a team, they're obviously all trying to get all 6 balls knocked off of the cones. So a little bit of bowling there. Another thing you can use, if you haven't got like cones and balls, is use like plastic bottles, like water bottles, and just put a little bit of water in the bottom of them, and then that holds it up nicely, and it can just, all it takes is a little bump, and it will fall over. So yeah, you don't want something that's going to easily fall over though, like just blow over in the wind or whatever. So just make sure you choose the right stuff. So that is bowling, and that works really nicely. Again, you can do this sat down, you can do this standing up, and actually like bowling, like almost like you would in 10-pin bowling. Or it might be you know they're a bit more of an able class. It might be that you don't have them sat down at all, and they're running around, and you're trying to block the bowling. The pins, and they trying to find a way to throw it past you, or when you're not looking or something, to try and knock them over as well. So that's a good little idea. So that's bowling. Next up is dinosaur sneezes. Now dinosaur sneezes, again, I did this game today, and it works really nicely, really well. And it's basically, so I would take my 10 dodgeballs or 10 balls or what I've got, and they're all in like a ball carrier bag. And I will get all the children to tickle their noses. So everybody's got to tickle their noses like this, and they're tickling their noses. And then when everyone's doing it, and you go chew, and as you say chew, you throw the balls out of the bag, and they scatter across the whole area. And then the children have to go and pick up a ball and throw it into the dinosaur's mouth. So I'm then holding the bag open, and they've got to try and put the ball into the dinosaur's mouth. So then once you get all 10 in, you can start mixing it up, and maybe put it higher, put it lower. You can move it a lot more, and yeah, all the different bits and pieces. But actually, it's worked so well. It's like I said earlier, it's not like a really difficult, complex game. It's so simple. It's easy to understand. The balls come out, they got to go pick it up and throw it in the area. And you can do this in so many different ways. I've seen coaches do it with like they hold a bucket and tennis balls. So they would scatter loads of tennis balls out, and then the children got to go find a tennis ball and throw it into the bucket. Stuff like that. It just works really nicely. It's really simple. Kids absolutely love it. I did it today, like a group of special needs children, and they were smiling. The TAs were getting involved, and it was amazing. So definitely worth having a look into that one. And my third game for you today is seated volleyball. So this is a bit more suitable if you've got like a large sports hall, something like that, that you probably need something about the size of a badminton court. And what I would do is I would have my area, and I would use like a beach volleyball. So something you can get on Amazon for like £3 or something, but just like quite a big ball. And the idea of the game is you can do this seated or not, and you might just put a bench across the middle here, and you've got children sat down, and they've got to basically don't let the ball bounce on their side. So it depends whether they're sat down or standing or what, but yeah, the idea is they've got, if the ball's on their side, they've got to head over to the other side, and it's just a really good game to think about, like coordination, teamwork, stuff like that. Just be careful. What you don't want is like 7 or 8 children all in one space, because that's where it just gets cluttered and children aren't really going to get involved in the session. So if that did happen, I would just set up another session next to it, and yeah, or maybe like just make it bigger, or maybe you need to add in like 3 or 4 balls all at the same time, and just add that excitement. So adaptability. Try it with your group. If it's too easy when they're sat down, maybe you can stand up. If the group allows, if you've got children in wheelchairs and stuff like that, then it works quite nicely. If everybody has a chair they have to sit on. So whatever works for you and whatever works for your group, it's a nice little session that will get children working together, and it works really nicely. Excellent. So my next game is Jungle on Fire, and Jungle on Fire again works really nicely, especially with children with learning difficulties. It's quite a simple game, easy to understand, and it's a bit like British Bulldog, to be honest. But what you'll do is you'll give 3 options out, 3 different animals that you can be. You might be a lion, you might be a zebra, you might be a frog, right? And then you would have they would all be lined up along here. Okay, and anybody that's a frog, when I call out frog, needs to try and get to the other side. Now, once they get to the other side, they are safe, and I call it the hunters. But if you want a little bit more of a friendly name, you might think about like you call it the spaceman, or whatever you want, really. So yeah, but whoever's in here, they are trying to get the ball or tap them before they get to the other side. So this person might quickly run in over that side and they're in. So that works nicely, especially with the more able children. It's gonna, if they're all able to walk and run, then that works really nicely. And the way it would work is this person here, if they did tap them, then the X then becomes a circle and you've got 2 people in there. So it's like, it's like standard like bulldog almost, but the reason I'm doing it is jungle 5 because it's a lot more friendly, it works nicely, and it's split. It means you haven't got 15 children all running at the same time. You'll have like 2 or 3 children running at a time, so it works a lot better. And finally, another idea that again I use today is Stairway to Heaven. And Stairway to Heaven is a numbers game. It's a rhyming game. It works really nicely, and you can adapt the words to make sure it fits for your group. But I would do number 1 is on the run, so they're just running around the area. Number 2 is on the shoe. They've got to stand on one shoe. Number 3 is get away from me, and that's when I'll run after them. I'll try and tag them. Try and tap them, and they love that one. They're always laughing their heads off at that. So that works well. And then number 4 is either lie on the floor or something to do with the floor. So if it's wet and cold though, it might be like, can you walk closely to the floor? Or maybe it's a hot floor and you've got to like almost like a hot potato to the floor. Number 5 is staying alive, which is like the dance move. Any dance move they like, or if you want to, you can bring out the boogie. So that's number 5. Number 6 is show us your tricks, saying like spins or anything they can do. Number 7 is jump to heaven, who can jump the highest. Number 8 is elbow bump your mates or high five your mates. Number 9 is feeling fine. You're like walking around the area, super chilled, like just like real chill vibes. And then 10 is walking like big strong women and men, and they're stomping around the area. And then once you've gone through 1 to 10, you then can go, right, call out number 3, and they got to remember, what is it? It's get away from me, and then you chase after them. So Stairway to Heaven works really nice. I think it's that rhyming, the idea of the fact that it rhymes, it works really, really nicely. So definitely one to look at there as well. So that's pretty much everything. But as well as the 5 games that I've spoken about there, I would really highly recommend you look at like just overall warm-up games. So any warm-up games which are quite simple, easy to follow, and also like nursery-based games. You can take a lot of the simple ideas within the nursery session ideas and put them into your SEN learning sessions as well. So yeah, hopefully it's given you a little bit of an idea on what you might teach. But any other comments or anything, please do let us know below. Give us a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.